What's up, War Report family? I'm your host, C Dub. Has Auburn football gotten closer to naming a starting QB? We will discuss that and more, as well as discuss a few other position groups that are competing for starting jobs, all on the midweek report. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to the latest and greatest midweek report as Ike is over there jamming on the one.
I be wishing, man, that the music could keep going when we get on here, so I can still be grooving to it, But it's just,
Now you're just moving like, to nothing. And I got it. I got it. But hey, welcome to the latest midweek report brought to you by our show sponsor, auburnsports.com. Guys, definitely show us love by showing auburnsports.com some love. Head over there and check out all of the content that they have over there covering your favorite university and its sports. Appreciate them for supporting the War Report. We want to thank you guys for supporting us on this wonderful Wednesday. Continue to do that by sharing this content on social media. Smash that like button and subscribe to those of you who are new to the channel. Helps us out a ton. What also helps us out, if you go get you a green name, you get access to some of our special content behind the paywall. I can tell you how to do that.
Yeah, real easy, gang. All you got to do is hit that join button. Come on board, man. We're getting into the season so soon. And when that happens, y'all know how we turn up on game days. But that chat, we restrict it to the members. We give away tickets to the home games, but that's only to the members. We're going to be doing watch the film breakdowns post every game. Not right after the game, but, the week after the game, we'll be doing watch the film breakdowns. That's only for the members. You got to be a member to get access to that good. So y'all make sure that you tap that button, click the join button to get on board with that. You can gift a membership just like Auburn Dad and get somebody else a month of free membership on you. So go ahead and do that if you are a member and you want somebody else to get a little something on that. Giving away a t-shirt, hashtag get your weight up. I see you guys flooding the chat with that already. Sponsored by War Eagle Oil. Make sure that you get your hashtag spelled correctly. We'll be doing that giveaway right around the 1 hour mark. And last but not least, the Pod Network. Make sure you guys are tapping in with the entire network. A lot of different perspectives from a lot of different voices. And if you don't like what the War Report does, maybe you like one of those other guys, but it's all a part of the network, all Auburn centric. Make sure you get your feel of Auburn stuff by tapping in with the College Loop Up-Tempo podcast. And of course, we here at the Auburn Express. Let's get into this convo.
Gentlemen. Over the weekend, Auburn had its first scrimmage, and Hugh Freeze met with media and made some interesting comments that led to a lot of speculation in terms of the direction of the QB competition. It was said that Holden Geriner had a good scrimmage, and even Hugh Freeze went on to say that he kind of knew going into the scrimmage how he was going to address the QB battle moving forward. Needed to go back and watch some film. Obviously, there's been some days past, and I'm sure he's watched some film. So we're curious as to what he has done. Tuesday, media reported, got access to watch Auburn practice Tuesday evening, and they observed Thorne and Ashford running plays with what was projected to be the first team offense exclusively. Holden Geriner was working exclusively with the projected second team offense, leading people to believe that Hugh Freeze had narrowed it down to two people, being Thorne and Robby Ashford. Guys, obviously, we won't know until Hugh Freeze announces a starter, but what make of you of this? And is there any smoke to what we're hearing in terms of Hugh Freeze narrowing it down. Your thoughts on that? I'll start with you, B. Will.
I don't know.
All right. And it's been a great show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in to the latest midweek rapport. We're giving you that fresh analysis courtesy of our guy B. Will, man.
Yeah, that's what y'all tune in for. Some definitive answers.
That was deep.
I definitely don't know what the division in practice means, if anything. I have no idea. We can make a lot of assumptions about what that means, but man, I just don't know. Hugh Freeze sounded pretty distinctly unhappy with the wide receivers after Saturday's scrimmage, right? And if you watch the morning drop this morning, you heard Ike and Mike G talk about how so many of our wide receivers are hurt. So I would ask, how can you, at this point, fairly evaluate any quarterback unless you're running a system where running quarterbacks are kind of the key to the whole thing moving? If it's not that type of thing, if receivers are going to run wrong routes on the option routes, if they're not going to block to your standard that you want them to block, or if they aren't doing what you want them to do, similar to why we are not really throwing Robby out of the window as a QB candidate, because last year is not a true indication of what he can do for a lot of reasons. Things around him weren't working well. So if you're Hugh Freeze and you're saying, all right, well, run game worked pretty well. Offensive line worked fairly well until we slowed it down. Then it got dominated a little bit. But the wide receivers weren't really working well. I'm not happy about that. We got to turn up on that. All right. So can you truly assess the performance of the quarterbacks in practice if the wide receivers aren't up to snuff yet? I don't know. I have no idea. None at all. So what does it mean when apparently during the viewing session, Holden Geriner's over here, Robby and Payton Thorne are over here? What does that mean? I don't know. We heard Holden Geriner was the most impressive quarterback at the scrimmage. We know there's more to it than just the throws that you make in practice. So, man, like there's more to quarterback than that. There's knowing things. There's physically, fluidly doing the things you're asked to do, but there's also knowing things. Where you're going to go with the ball, why you went where you went with the ball, the decisions being made. It's kind of hard to not notice Mike G changing that shirt. Welcome back, Mike.
Oh, man.
But yeah, I don't know what it means, man. I'm honestly looking forward to this coming up scrimmage. I think that's going to be the deciding second scrimmage, because after the second scrimmage, you slowly start to prep for game one. You got 2 weeks before game one after your second scrimmage, and that's when you have to have made some decisions because we're installing now. The second scrimmage will tell us what we need to know. The first scrimmage helps you get things organized in your head as far as what you think, and I think the second scrimmage kind of confirms it. So second scrimmage is when I'll start drawing some conclusions, but right now, it's anybody's guess, man.
Ike, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that with the practices following the scrimmage, for me, it confirmed that it was Robby Ashford who the coach had to take a second look at. I think that's what he was like, okay, so maybe Robby, maybe him for the starting job. Let me rethink what I'm looking at right here, giving him more of those first team reps and Holden getting more of the third team reps. I'm still in the camp that Payton Thorne's going to be the starter game one, but I think that Robby will have a legitimate shot to be the starting quarterback for Auburn before it's all said and done. Usually I'll say something like, it's Payton Thorne's job to lose. I don't know that I'm in the it's his job to lose thing right now. Like it's firmly his job and he has to lose it. I think it is his job to keep. And there's a slight difference in the nuance of that statement. I think that he's in a position to have it, but he could 100% fumble this and Robby be there to pick it up. So, yeah, I think that Robby has definitely put himself in position to change what the thought process was around his potential to be a starting quarterback for Auburn University. But he's got some work that he still needs to do to get himself in the position where he takes that over. And it could be as simple as him going out there and balling out, right? Like, get in the game and ball out.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it progresses as we get into this next scrimmage. To be Will's point, we haven't had the second scrimmage. He still has an opportunity to go out there. If he is one of the better quarterbacks in this second scrimmage, it's going to make it even tougher, right? And then if he goes out there game one and he balls out, it'll make it even tougher, right? So he's got some room, I think, to be able to still climb and make it a difficult choice for the coaches to keep him off of the field. He's going to get a chance to get on the field. How are they going to keep him off of it is the question.
Mike G, I'm going to go to you real quick, but before I do, I want to grab Daniel Owens' comment here. War Eagle guys, happy early birthday to Mike. Happy birthday, Mike. You turn.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. That's not important.
Woo!
Age is
That's
just a
a
number,
serious
right?
number tomorrow,
Age ain't
Mike
nothing
guy.
but a
Shut your mouth.
Happy early birthday. Absolutely send some birthday likes for the video and share. Appreciate that, Daniel, for wishing him happy birthday. Drake Barefoot said go change that shirt. You did just that. Awesome. That was amazing. Mike, you tweeted something of
he followed up with another super chat because of the changed shirt, actually.
Good one, Mike.
Yeah, did it quick too. Look, first of all, yes, it is my birthday tomorrow. But for those of you guys complaining about my shirt, War Damn transfer, I promise to spend it all on cut off orange hoodies. Because y'all complain about
why they have to be cut off though?
Because it replaces the one that I wear that everybody complains about. It's
gotcha.
It's a sleeveless hoodie, right? So I will buy one for every day of the week. Y'all go hit up the Cash App, and yeah, I'll show them off. I'll even do a Twitter modeling thing.
What you need to do is if you get one for every day of the week, you're gonna have to post a video of you burning that shirt so that people.
I will burn the other one in the yard, even though it's Under Armour. It's Under Armour too. So like,
put it in your Golden's cast iron grill.
There you go. I was just gonna say it.
Sacrilege. We can burn it in the fire pit. Not on the grill.
Put it in. We go to get on the fire pit. At the next
for forgiveness from the Auburn gods.
At the next fireside with the War Rapport, we will do a burning for Mike G's Crimson cutoff.
All right, so
Mike, you tweeted something over the weekend based on information you gathered, and you ranked the QBs. Holden was number 1, followed by Ashford being number 2. Thorne was number 3. Where are you now based on what has been reported? What are you hearing, and what has changed in your opinion?
Well, first of all, just addressing the tweet. I mean, it was more about how they played in the scrimmage. Holden had a good camp. He had a great camp, as a matter of fact. It appears that Hugh Freeze has decided that he can't bet the farm on his inexperience this season, despite how he played in camp. So now you're down to Robby and Payton, right? I said 2 months ago that I thought Payton would win this job repeatedly. I got attacked for that. I still feel that way. I feel like he's going to, now that you've narrowed it down to 2 and you ruled one guy out because of lack of experience, I think the other guy's experience is going to be the thing that gets him the nod. Now, I think that Hugh Freeze has been incredibly candid with us, right? Like since he's been here. And I asked a question got asked, and I asked him I followed up with, hey, will you have a bona fide starter for game 1? He said, we're going to have a starter. I don't know how bona fide he's going to be.
Right. Yeah.
That's a quote. Yeah, that's a quote. He said, we're going to have a starter. I don't know how bona fide he's going to be. I think that he's still there. And it was like I mentioned, it was some people thought it was Holden that was making the decision tough. Other people thought it was Robby. I think it was some mixture of both. But ultimately, I think Robby did make this a difficult decision. And I still think he's going to play game 1, no matter what. We're going to see Robby Ashford game 1. Whether it's packages or they let him run a few drives to see how he gets in the groove, we'll see. I don't think even Hugh Freeze knows that just yet at this point, because they probably have not started game planning for UMass just yet.
Right.
But he's going to see the field. So, Payton Thorne is going to get his chance. And I think that Hugh Freeze is trying to figure out how to keep everybody ready, just in case. If you're Robby and Thorne gets named the starter, which there are a lot of things out on social media now saying that that's already happened, right? Like, I've seen it on Twitter. I've seen like people are making graphics about it. Then what you can't do is you can't make TJ's mistake. Now, what was TJ's mistake? Bo got hurt versus Mississippi State. And, Ike and I talked about this over the phone earlier today. He admittedly said, when Bo got hurt, I checked out. When he won the job, I checked out. And I wasn't ready mentally for the job. And you know what that cost him? That cost him being able to put a stranglehold on the job for the next year. South Carolina, right, was his first start after Bo got hurt?
Right.
Well, you couldn't beat South Carolina. You couldn't hold on to beat Bama. And then you lost to Houston in the Birmingham Bowl. Win 2 out of those 3, and you are the bona fide starter for the next season.
Yeah.
Unquestioned. He could have put a stranglehold on the job, but he didn't. And then he carried that inconsistency into the next season and ended up eventually losing the job to Robby Ashford. If you're Robby, you just can't do the same thing. You can't afford to do the same thing. Just stay ready. Better quarterbacks have won their job because of injury. I'll say that again. We've seen some very accomplished quarterbacks that got their shot because the dude in front of them got injured and they picked the other guy. So this is not an exact science, man. Coaches get it right or wrong all the time. I love watching that documentary, The Brady Six, about like the 6 quarterbacks that got picked before Tom Brady. And then he was sitting behind Drew Bledsoe, a super, not a bad quarterback, but super experienced. Drew got hurt. Tom got a chance. And he just never gave the job back. To the tune of 15 Super Bowls or whatever, however many he played in. A lot. Now, I'm not saying, Robby Ashford is Tom Brady. I'm just saying, like, hey, if a guy who is considered probably top 3 quarterbacks all time got his shot because the dude in front of him got injured, there's no reason why you can't stay ready if Thorne is really the starter for game 1. Because Hugh Freeze already said, even if you start, let's say it was the other way around, and Robby started and Thorne was the backup, he should feel the same way. Just because you got named starter doesn't mean you're going to hold on to it.
Right.
Neither one of these guys has done enough at the college level that they should feel safe after game 1. That's just my thought, right? Like, I mean, it's UMass. So if you look iffy against UMass, you're going to keep that door open for whoever's number 2. And if you get in, you need to ball out. If you're number 2, your only job is to make sure there's a quarterback controversy after every game you play in. Hey, I know you guys started, Thorne, but what about Robby? Or vice versa. If you're Thorne, same thing. You don't have to. If you're Thorne, you think about it, you don't have that many chances left, man. So it doesn't really matter. You already made the decision to come here. If you don't win it, you have to stay ready. And if they give you a shot, you just got to go in and take advantage of the small window that you have. Hugh Freeze is going to work both of these guys in. And I think that he knows that if you have one quarterback, you're probably screwed. That's what the SEC has taught us over the last few years. If you only have one guy who can do the job, you're screwed. You need 2 quarterbacks, at least. Look at Tennessee, man. Hendon Hooker was my front runner for the Heisman before he got hurt. He was having that good a season.
He was most people's front runner.
Dude, he was killing it. Joe Milton had to step in, and look what he did, though. He put a stranglehold on the job for the next year based on how he played in those few games. I know B is not a huge Joe Milton fan, And rightfully so. Like, he lost the
Hey,
job, right?
You can put me on that same list of
Yeah,
not a
yeah,
huge
right.
fan.
But he took advantage of the opportunity that was in front of him when he got it. And that's all he could do. Whether you think he's good or not is beside the point. The point is that he played well in the time that he got. And he was the backup.
Yeah.
He got the job, he lost the job, and then
he could have DJ'd the position, right?
yeah, and then he just stayed ready. That's all you could do. That's what you hope Hugh Freeze is able to get out of every quarterback on the roster. A guy who's ready when it's his turn. Because history has taught us you're likely going to need more than one.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at about it. So, yeah, I think it's a good thing for Auburn to have a real competition at quarterback. This is probably the first time I felt like that we've had a real competition at quarterback.
Yeah, there were times recently where I thought we were having a real competition, and it proved that, like, once you pull the mask off of it, it's the guy who runs the convenience store right next to the Spooky Factory, and Scooby comes running up, and he's been foiled again. But yeah.
But I think when we do realize it is when
I like that analogy.
Thank you.
When we do realize it, it's because QB1 is struggling in a game and the coach won't yank him. And it makes you wonder, okay, you said there was a QB competition.
Right.
Why is QB1 out there and he's clearly struggling?
Yeah.
Right. Because it doesn't make you feel good about the dude who didn't win the job. Either
Correct.
You missed badly.
Correct.
Right. And when you profess yourself to be a QB developer, it's hard to miss that badly and explain it. It really is. Unless you're going to pull the plug early and go to the other guy. Unless your mistake is short-lived. And you can say, hey, listen, we ain't lose no games because of it. and you could probably lean back on this guy games better than he practices excuse. Especially with Robby Ashford. If he goes and he balls in there, you could be like, we weren't sure about some things with Robby. You could explain that. Right? I don't think you can. I think it'll be harder for Hugh Freeze. I'm interested to hear Ike's thoughts on this. I think it would be harder for Hugh Freeze to explain starting Robby Ashford over the guy that you brought in if Robby doesn't play well than the other way around.
Yeah, that's 100% how I feel. I feel like you almost, as Coach Freeze, if it's close. So here are a couple of things that I've said consistently. If it's close, Robby's probably the better option because he gives you that additional athleticism, other gear that you just can't get. But if it's close and you want to take the safer bet, if you're Coach Freeze, you have to start Payton Thorne. Because if you brought Payton Thorne in from the portal and you put Robby out there first and Robby doesn't play well, then you're immediately under scrutiny. If Payton Thorne goes out there and he doesn't play well, you've got Robby is your savior then. Like Payton can't be your secondary savior in this situation in the court of public opinion. It has to be Robby if you're going Robby versus Payton, right? In my opinion. Now, other people may feel differently, but because of the nature of how Payton Thorne arrived here in Auburn, unless he just flat out it's looking like, he's not going to get there in time for us to win. If you feel like you can win football games, and luckily the first game is UMass, so he's got a mulligan out there to throw out there and say,
that's
hey,
absolutely right.
We're just going to put him out there and see how it works. And, we've already talked about the receivers aren't where they need to be. If the offense isn't going in full gear, that's all fine because you've got UMass out there and you can basically waste a game and let Robby get himself played into a better position, but you can't throw him out there first because even if the snaps are equitable, people are going to remember who was QB1 on that starting lineup.
That's facts. You brought this guy in. We talked on the last live stream about how the investments talk is bull to me. I don't want to hear about that, right? Like, oh, we paid so much for him. You got to play him. No. I think that you went out and you picked this guy and kind of sold to everybody that this was the one we wanted the whole time.
Correct.
Okay.
No, he's old. I mean, this is it.
I was always skeptical of that one because again,
Yeah.
there was another kid at Coastal who had that situation worked out. I mean, when you
Grayson
say this is who
McCall?
you always wanted, I'm like,
Well, so the difference between those two situations, in my opinion, was one of them was actively in the portal already, right? So like you had to pursue guys that are available. Payton Thorne could have been a guy that you've always wanted. He just never was in the portal. But in your mind, you're like, if this kid hits the portal, yeah, that's the guy I'm going to go after. Because, and I think the fundamental difference between those two as far as what they would covet is the experience at a P5 program.
Sure.
Right. Like I think that Grayson McCall may be a more talented quarterback, but he hadn't proven it on the same competition level as what Payton Thorne had done. You know, and again, we're looking at 2021 to say, I've seen evidence that he can do this at a Power 5 level when you've got the right guys around him. You don't really have that anecdotal proof with Grayson McCall. You have an idea of what it could potentially be, and you can look at, oh, he's got the arm talent, he's got the legs, he's got da-da-da. But when the defenders are faster, when the windows close a little bit sooner, does that stuff melt away for him? I don't know the answer to that, but that is a concern. That's a legitimate concern for someone who needs to get the quarterback position right for his first season.
I would say this too, maybe a hot take. I think it's actually better for Robby to let Payton go in there and perform or not perform.
Potentially,
right?
It's only really better if
you have to play. If you have to play, it might be better to let him go first.
Why do you say that?
If you go out there first and don't play well, I believe he's going to get torched way harder than Thorne. And
100%. Yeah, he would get torched because
I think he'll have a longer leash too, Ike.
Yeah, people have doubted him a lot more going in.
Yeah, I think he'll get a longer leash if Thorne plays first and doesn't play well.
Yeah.
Rather than him going in first, not playing well, and it's like, oh, well, we tried that. Let's go with the steady floor.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, this is not losing a starting job to start a season is not the end of the world. Right. Yeah. It's just not in today's college football. Guys get pulled for all kinds of reasons. We've seen guys who barely lost a game their whole career lose their job to an incumbent. Like, we keep quoting the great Chris Todd, Auburn record-setting Chris Todd. He said they're always trying to bring somebody in that's better than you. At this point, nobody on this roster has a reason to be comfortable after one game. Nobody.
Especially not UMass.
Right. Not Thorne, not Robby, not Holden, no matter who is going to be, nobody, even if they went out there and played well, you're not putting a stranglehold on the job after UMass. Because personally, I don't think any of these quarterbacks have done enough on the college level to deserve that kind of leeway. That includes Thorne because of his follow-up season. To 11-2 was no bowl game. So I just, like I said, I think that, when you look at this, each one is going to get a chance to prove that they can be the guy. And the best case scenario for Auburn is that both of them play well when given the chance. And you got a bona fide starter and a guy who can take over if called upon, because, again, history has taught us that you're probably going to need him at some point. If Thorne plays well, Auburn wins, man. Everybody wins. If Robby Ashford plays well, everybody wins. I want to address this from the fans' standpoint. Like, there is almost a perception that if you think one is better than the other, it means you're against the other one for some reason. And we only do that at quarterback. We only do that at quarterback. I only see fans doing that at quarterback.
I mean, only one of those guys can be out there at a time, so it's a little bit different.
Right. I'm just saying, you could argue they rotate running backs a little bit more, but thinking...
Oh, yeah, no, I was about to say, because last year people definitely said that about the running back position, is that one was better than the other.
Yeah, but doesn't mean you hate the other one, though. Yeah, and I think that fans just need to get that out of their head, right? Like, you want both these guys to be good because
you want the fans to do what?
Get it out of your head, man. It's not. It's. You want both of these guys to be good.
Okay.
You want both of these guys to be developed and ready because you might need them, and you don't want to feel like you're screwed if one goes down.
Let me ask you guys this. Quick. You got something, B? You sat up in your chair like you was being ready to.
I'm sitting here thinking, I still don't know why people care so much about who the quarterback is that's doing the winning. All right, fans have already shown.
Yeah, that's a very weird energy. But continue.
Yeah, fans have already shown that they know diddly squat about football when it comes to discussion because things happen. Just that a film watch the film would unearth and show you, hey, you don't know what you're talking about. Shut up. You could find some film on YouTube of somebody breaking it down and going, hey, you know that thought that you had about why that player was failing, he wasn't. It was this other player failing. Well, no, I just didn't like. Shut up, you're stupid. So I keep thinking, like, if you were in a critical situation, let's say, God forbid, you're at work and somebody's like, oh man, a fire broke out in the kitchen. We got to get people out of here. Let's say you're away from your desk. You don't hear the fire, you hear the alarm, you don't know what's going on. And the one guy that you hate the most at your job comes back in to get everybody who didn't hear the alarm. Hey, we got to get people out of here. Now you're going to go, I don't know, man. I just don't want it to be you helping me out of here, though, because, I mean, I can't see because of the smoke. You got out of here first. But I really don't like you. I want it to be that other guy. This is my best friend. He's in the queue right next to me. We joke all day. He buys me lunch sometimes. That's my guy. But I'm here, all right? I don't make jokes with you because I don't like you, but I don't want you to die. Do you want to get out of here, yes or no? I guess there's some fans dumb enough to say, nah, it's got to be my guy. I just want to die. That's what I want to die if it's not my guy. There are absolutely, and I really believe this, I think it happens in the pros. I know it happens
Sound like
in the
a
pros.
political slogan, but continue.
I know, hey, you know, I know it happens in the pros. There were reports that Carson Wentz, the year was, I don't know if it was his rookie year, but was doing real well. He was an MVP candidate. He got hurt. Nick Foles takes over. They win the Super Bowl. There were reports that he was upset that it wasn't him. And that he wasn't very well liked in any locker room that he was in, but that part of the reason was he was rooting for them not to do as well because he wasn't in there starting. He didn't want Nick Foles to succeed in his spot. He'd rather get all the glory and be the guy at the expense of the team. I know fans do this. Just so they can go, well, I'm rooting for the team, but, no, you're not. Because the guy that you wanted to start is not starting.
Right.
You are now rooting for the other guy to fail so you can say I was right. That's worth more to you than the team that you supposedly love winning. If I'm the guy in the office, I just want to live, man. Like I'll cuss you out when I get out of here. Help me out of here. I want 9 wins. I want 9 wins more than I want to see any quarterback out there. It could be anybody at quarter. I don't care who it is. It could be somebody. Spencer Rattler could have transferred here in the offseason, and I still want him to do good.
Okay. No, I was about to say what I was with you. I was lost for a second when you said Spencer Rattler could transfer here, and then we said, but I still want him to do good. Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be excited about Spencer Rattler transferring.
I wouldn't either. Any quarterback,
if he's going to be the guy here, I would 100% want him to do well. I wouldn't feel very good about it. I wouldn't feel good about the prospects of it happening.
Right.
But I would want him to figure it out and be better. Yes.
Because I want us to win. I want to win. It puzzles me so much that people pick favorites instead of just rooting for the team and trusting the coaches. I get if you didn't trust the coaches, Gus Malzahn, I didn't trust the coach.
It's nothing wrong. It's nothing wrong with picking favorites. It's just it shouldn't
at some point in time
supplant. It shouldn't supplant your allegiance to Auburn overall. Like
I want people to stop hovering over the "I told you so" button, though. You know what I'm saying? Like they're waiting for an opportunity to be like, "See, I told you he wasn't gonna do it." And
but that sucks for Auburn, though, right?
Yeah,
right. Let me address this comment real quick. It's not talking about how the backup can win the job back. It's talking about why the backup needs to stay ready in case he's needed.
Yeah.
You need one more. You need more than one quarterback. I don't know how many different ways we can say it. If you've got one, you're screwed unless that dude is Iron Man and he stays healthy the whole time.
Iron Man kind of died. I ain't, you know what I'm saying? If you haven't seen the end of Endgame, just to let you know.
Spoiler alert.
You don't make it.
But the point that you made, Mike, you made a brilliant point a while back. How many teams ended up going to their second string quarterback last year in a critical game?
Over half of them. Half of them needed their backup to play an entire game. Not just against some. It wasn't like, oh, he needs a break, so we're giving him. No, the other dude couldn't play. And when you're vying for a championship, that one game that you lose could cost you the shot at the college football level. Right? Milroe had to come in and play a whole game last year. People seem to forget that.
Yeah.
He did the job and they just kept it pushing.
Right.
But that's what you want to see. And then presumably, if he had done what he needed to do during the spring, he should have been the front runner going into the season. What was the guy at Clemson? DJ, I don't even go try to say his last name. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that guy.
Right. He got a shot he had to spell Trevor Lawrence for like what, a game? And wasn't it against Notre Dame? I think they lost that game, but he threw for like 400 yards and 5 touchdowns or something. I mean, he had a pretty good game.
Right.
And everyone thought, okay.
Yeah, he was their Jeremy Johnson.
100%. This is the dude. I'm just saying, when you get a shot, you have to have those types of moments.
Yeah.
And you want to at least see that quarterback has that in them. So that if they're needed, it's not like, oh, the season's done. How everybody felt when Bo got hurt. That's it. Season down the drain. And we'll never know how that season really would have ended. But I because you can't say, but I'd say there's a much better chance that Auburn doesn't lose to South Carolina. For sure. And the Iron Bowl is the Iron Bowl. Like, I don't know. I mean, Bo plan assumes that everything would have gone the exact same way, but he would have. We don't know.
Game planned way differently for Bo. It'd have been a whole
for sure
game.
Yeah, for sure. We don't know how that would have ended, but like
if the defense had played that well, I do think that we still have a legitimate shot of winning that game.
For sure,
but,
a better job with Bo at quarterback because you probably score at least 17 points. Yeah, right. Jesus Christ, right. So so bad. But TJ had a shot, man, and I think it's fair to say he blew it. I think it's fair to say he blew it on a lot of levels. He blew it by not being ready. And for a guy who got so many chances to be a starting quarterback at this level, that's disappointing because most guys don't get that many shots. Some guys don't even get one.
Yeah.
So, it's when you're in a quarterback battle, and the reason why we're still talking about this, and again, to this comment that we put up on the screen, is because Freeze himself said, we're going to have a starter. We don't know how bona fide he's going to be. And so I think it's fair if he's saying that to talk about why the backup needs to be ready in case he's called upon. I think they're going to have packages for Robby Ashford no matter what. I think they're going to find a way to get him on the field, and I think they're going to find. And I think that in the blowout game, what you hope Thorne plays well enough that Robby gets to come in and get some real in-game experience. Because we saw that at times as well too. Auburn couldn't pull away from bad teams.
Yeah.
And so the backup really never got.
Well, that's something I want to ask. I want to ask you guys about later on in the show because I am optimistic about an aspect of Auburn's offense going into the season, and I'll talk more about that. We got a lot of comments, guys. I do want to address this before we get to the break, gentlemen. Nick does comment here and says, if Thorne won the job after less than 2 weeks of practice, was it really a competition? What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I think the answer to that is absolutely yes. It was a competition. but the coach didn't see what he needed to see out of the other guys in order to cement them as a person who they were ready to throw out there game one. So again, I think the comments from Coach Freeze are that we will have a starter, but how bona fide is he? That means, in my opinion, he's still leaving the door open for other guys to step up. It's just that they haven't made the jump necessary that he thinks. And Thorne is the most, we're talking about relative floor and relative ceiling. He is the most ready to start right now because his floor is higher. So I know I'm at least getting this level right here if I put him in the game.
Yeah,
those other guys just need to raise their floor a little bit more.
I would argue that it's not just about what he did in camp, but they're taking the totality of his career in this decision as well too. Right? It's kind of the same way where, you know, in the spring he said Jarquez Hunter is the best back I've ever coached, and when asked about other players, he'd say I never coached them down yet. And what he's really saying is there's enough tape on Jarquez for me to know what kind of player he is. And there's a lot more tape on Thorne than there is on anybody else in Auburn's quarterback room.
Yeah,
true.
Right. So that's being factored into this decision. So it's not just about the two weeks of camp. You know, we've seen coaches handle this different ways. Some coaches go really deep into this before they name a starter, almost until like week of game prep.
Which, to be clear, Coach Freeze still hasn't named a starter. We're speculating based upon what people are saying is that he hasn't come out and said it. So,
but you know, let's say for argument's sake, he's told the team, right? Then the purpose of this may be to go ahead and try to galvanize the team around a guy. There's a couple different ways to approach this, man. Like there could be reasons that are unbeknownst to us why he's doing what he's doing. Or to motivate somebody, because he promised to put these guys in uncomfortable positions during camp. And at some point, people just have to start taking this coach at his word. You know, someone was like, I think that's coach speak. I was like, I don't think Freeze has given a lot of coach speak since he's been at Auburn.
No, he hasn't. He's been refreshingly honest.
Yeah, he's been really honest and straightforward. And when he doesn't like a question, he'll just say, I don't like it. I'm not answering that. And that's it. He'll move on. That's how he's been. So if we take the coach at his word, then we're saying, okay, this is what we think this means because this is exactly what he said. This is good. I mean, I think this is a fun QB. This is actually, to me, a fun QB conversation this year.
It is
about Thorne and Ashford and Geriner. Like, I mean, I think, you know, we know the other two better than we know Payton because he just got here, you know, but it seems like they've got three great guys.
Yeah.
You just got to figure out who's going to play the best and give you the best chance to win. And then you roll with that dude.
To me, I mean, maybe it's just a new year, but I feel excited that we genuinely have more than one capable quarterback in that room. This is how I feel going into the season.
I wonder if like Tua was sitting behind Hurts thinking, like, was he thinking, I'm going to get my shot eventually, or I'm better than this dude, they should play me now? Like, I always wonder in those situations.
Have you seen Cam Newton talking about him sitting behind Tebow? And that's exactly what he was talking. He's like, in my mind, I'm thinking I'm better than this dude.
This dude, right? Yeah. Like, I always wonder that, but you know, they're not pulling Tebow.
Right.
You know they're not pulling them. So it's always the psychology of it is always interesting to me about what players think, you know, when a player starts over them, but that player is actually living up to the hype.
Right.
And and the thing is, it's okay to think that because you're a supreme athlete. You're supposed to think you're the best guy for whatever job it is.
Right.
The problem is whether or not your attitude reflects that when you're around the rest of your teammates. You know, you can't be in the locker room and your attitude says, I don't know why I'm not starting over this dude. I'm better than him, because that doesn't do anything, especially if the guy who you think you're better than, everybody likes. Nobody wants to be around you right now. It's like, I don't really care if you think you're better than him. He's the starting quarterback. Get behind him or kick rocks, dude. Like, they don't need that attitude. So you've got to figure out how to bottle up all of this I'm better and figure out how to be, I'm going to support him, but he better not mess up.
Right.
Because if I get my shot, you're going to realize what's up.
Right. I got to be better have to be better than you by doing what you do best. You know what I mean? Like if you're the team leader, then I have to be a better leader than you. If you're the better QB, I have to be a better QB than you. If I feel I'm better, but I'm not better than you at any of those attributes, I'm a cancer.
Yeah.
I'm a cancer. So if I'm really better than you, then prove it by being better than that guy in all aspects.
Yeah, I just think more than one quarterback is going to get a chance this season to show how good they are or aren't, right? You know, how much of a window that is up in the air. All I know is that when you get that shot, you have to take advantage of it because you don't know if you're going to get another shot.
Yeah.
That's it. You just don't know if you're going to get another shot. It's not promised. It happens at this level and at every program all the time. Some guys, the circumstances fall in a way that they get multiple shots to prove that they're the guy. And some guys, it's just their one moment, and you have to shine in that moment, or that's it.
Yeah.
That's the way life is.
Listen, good conversation, guys. Share this video on social media. Smash the like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Let's pay some bills and acknowledge our sponsors.
This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors. AuburnSports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn Sports, head over to AuburnSports.com. When you work out, grill out, and chill out, you deserve the best life possible, and Golden's Cast Iron is here to provide the tools to help you do it. Check them out at goldenscastiron.com. And our giveaway sponsor, War Eagle Oil. For all of your motor oil and related products, head over to wareagleoil.com. As always, thank you to the sponsors of the War Report, and thank you to the members of the War Report family. Green Name Gang, what up? We appreciate everybody who continues to support us by getting a monthly membership. A lot of great perks coming up during the football season. Now is the time to get on board so that you can activate all of those great things. Film review is cool during the off season. It's even better during the season because that watch the film can be therapy. And you definitely want to get on board with that. If you are a member and you want to gift a membership, you can do that right now from the live chat. Just like Auburn Dad did earlier, we appreciate those who continue to gift memberships to everybody. We're doing a giveaway right now. Well, not right this moment, but today, hashtag Get Your Weight Up in the live chat, sponsored by War Eagle Oil. You can get a War Report t-shirt. If you want to get that, you need to throw the hashtag in there. We'll be doing that giveaway in about 15 minutes, I guess, from now. And shout out to everybody's favorite sponsor of the War Report, Manscaped. Support of the War Report is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 8 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with code Rapport at manscaped.com. Their 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. Thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology, the Lawnmower 4.0 is waterproof and also has a 4,000 kilowatt LED spotlight, so you can have a precise shave. Get 20% off and free shipping. Code Rapport at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com using code Rapport. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Let's get back into this.
We'll grab
See
some
who's
comments.
got balls to be the starting quarterback for Auburn. I'm sorry. It had to be said exactly like that, too.
I was wondering.
Thank you.
Corey Dub, appreciate you being with us, man. And I feel a John Brandon joke coming in 3, 2.
Oh, he's been going on.
I'm about to say he didn't even need that.
He never
Yeah,
stopped.
the
He never
layup.
stopped.
You could have sneezed and John Brandon would have been like, I bet somebody want to bless you. Like it's it don't matter.
Love the Fat Albert voice.
Yeah.
Corey Dub says Thorne will be the starter against UMass. We will definitely see. The look says Robby 1, Thorne 2, just like I said 2 weeks ago. We will
see.
definitely
Right.
see. Jake Starn says if Robby wins the job, that means he has improved his passing. Sounds like he's going to be dangerous. War Eagle.
Yeah, I'm always just about this comment. I'm always interested to see if I'm always interested to see if a guy plays better than he practices.
Mhm.
Right. And this will be interesting to see that you have coaches talk about guys who are just gamers. You put them in the game and they just ball. Right.
Mhm.
I just wonder fully healthy if he's that guy, right? Maybe. But it seems like if you're freeze, you still have a job to do, man, and you have to make sure that the floor is not too low.
Right.
Right. Because I still think missing a bowl game would be inexcusable for him, especially with this schedule.
After all of this preseason momentum, you would stop yourself right in your tracks if you miss a bowl game this season. I just don't know that you can carry that forward. But I disagree with this to a degree, though, and sorry to cut you off. I don't know that it means that his passing improved. I just think that it means that, and this is the thing we've been saying over and over again, and you guys can agree or disagree with this from multiple sources inside the program. If Robby is the starting quarterback, it means he's improved his leadership ability. It means that his attitude towards how he approaches the team culture has improved, because I think that's the biggest hurdle he has to climb. Despite how people feel about what his completion percentage was last year, his consistency on being able to make throws, I think a coach can live with that stuff because he's so electric in other areas if the attitude and leadership stuff is where it needs to be.
Yeah.
You fix that stuff, then you give yourself a legitimate shot for people to it's just like, you just can't make it just about this is something Mike and I talk about. Just make it about football. Like,
right.
if we eliminate everything else and I just make it about football, am I a better football player? But if I got to worry about all this stuff before we can get to the football conversation,
you never get a chance to actually coach the kid. He alluded to this in the spring when he talked about lists.
Yeah.
I don't like it when guys end up on lists. I said, Coach, what kind of list? What kind of list are you talking about? He said, I don't understand how hard it is to park where you need to park. And I am proud to say parking at Auburn is just as bad now as it was when we were in school.
It's actually probably gotten worse.
It's
way better. Y'all do not remember. They got like parking decks all around.
They do have parking decks.
I see tickets everywhere. Like, I was just up there yesterday and it was ticket. And then the ticket person was driving by just happy. She was smiling.
Hold on. Nah, see, you don't have no kids, Mike, so you ain't seen Zootopia. You gotta be if you saw Zootopia, you're not in the Zootopia area yet.
Oh, that's funny.
I was like, yo, dude,
Officer Hops is
it's a brand new semester though. Like, there's a bunch of people who don't know who about to F around and find out though. That's what's going on right now.
Okay,
that's what's happening.
Yeah, because I was like, yo, man, they making
fresh meat,
racking them up. Yeah, right. Them parking tickets would keep you from registering for classes the next semester. That burst our bill to come back. Wait,
yeah, that's
what?
real.
Yeah, that's the real thing. I knew people who were like, yep, I'm gonna have to pick up a part-time job to pay my parking tickets. Yeah.
Let me grab some more. Before I get into the super chats, Brad Browning says B Will called out Mike G this morning on the morning drop. I want to see the follow-up to that.
B Will just needed a reason. You just
about what?
There's a lot of
activity about science. Okay,
yes,
cool.
Yes, science, Mike, science. But
not today.
There's a lot. There's a lot going on in the chat.
Now,
we want to keep it going. We want to keep it going. We got time.
Okay.
We got time. Y'all,
I know where you be
at some point in time. Y'all gonna have to have like these conversations we keep putting off. Like, man, we're gonna come back to that conversation, and then it just never happens.
I'm inviting the strength and conditioning coach to the conversation. I was gonna let him talk to you.
Cool, invite him.
Yeah, you tell him he's wrong.
That's hilarious.
You
got hired and paid all this money to do your job.
See, you making up stuff. Let's get these comments going. I might keep talking nonsense. Let's go.
Auburn Dad for Life says that's why I love this staff. First offense versus first defense in practice. By the way, happy early birthday to Mike G. Get crunked up.
Football's
here.
Oh, not he pay money, and then we gotta say it, and then see. We need to let this crunked up thing die.
No, resurrect it. Matter of fact, I'm lobbying right now for Lil John to come on the live stream.
18 and 24 demographic. 18 and 24. I want to hear this.
Iconic.
Bo Hunter says, appreciate the super chat. Why hasn't Payton Thorne made himself available for any interviews? I already feel a certain kind of way about him not agreeing to do the fireside chat.
Apparently,
Yeah,
let Hugh
yikes.
Freeze tell it he was too busy blowing up Hugh Freeze's phone, asking about when he's got time to talk. So you know what? If that's the type of player he is, if that's the type of student of the game he is, then he needs to be focused on this. That's why he came here, not for the fan base to get to know him. He doesn't really have that kind of time. He's got a real job.
I don't know if that's the real reason, but
Yeah,
I don't know what the actual
whatever.
reason
Manage
is.
your time. Get a nap. Look, he's done interviews. He hasn't done long, extensive interviews, but he's done some interviews. Matter of fact, I think he went on Locked on Auburn. I'm pretty sure he went on Locked on Auburn. So, he's done interviews. At the end of the day, right? Like, he came here for a reason. You remember, he gives me Calzada vibes a little bit, right? Calzada was like, I'm here for the work and nothing but the work.
Yet Calzada came on our show.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, fair enough. Okay.
Find another example. All right.
He did come on our show.
Auburn Dad for Life says, I trust Coach Hugh Freeze will play the best QB that will get W's.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
At the end of the day, that's where we need
That's
to
what
land.
everybody wants. Yeah,
man. I agree. Donovan, appreciate you being with us. Says it doesn't matter if we Cat to 9-3. He's going to be happy with it.
Interesting.
Cat. You don't like that? You don't like that, man?
No, I'm gonna think.
Donovan comes back and says, wasn't Cam and Trotter a close comp? Happy birthday, Mike. But again, this is what I'm talking about right here. This is what I'm talking about in the past. This is during Gene Chiswick's time. Malzahn was the OC. But again, this is from those days where we were told.
I don't know, man. They named Cam the starter after spring. They named him like a week after spring. They named him the starter. So
that is true.
Yeah. They didn't wait till fall to name him the starter.
Yeah, but everybody was there already in spring, too, in that situation. Payton Thorne didn't get here until the summer. So
Correct.
It was a little different.
I Am Hop says, just got done watching AU Mississippi State from last year. Would take Robby and ride with him. He gives 1,000%.
A healthy, nobody knows what a healthy Robby Ashford plays like. Absolutely nobody knows what a healthy Robby Ashford can do. So that's what he's hoping to get a chance to do, I would assume, right? He played with a hurt shoulder all last season. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes for him if he gets the shot.
Comes back and says, appreciate the super chat again. Oh, and Ike Jarquez would definitely dunk on you in his cowboy boots.
41-year-old me right now with no knees. Yeah, he could dunk on me right now. I'm not doubting that.
Yeah, Jarquez is a little different.
Yeah, he's a different kind of athlete. For sure.
Yeah, he's different. Yeah, the cowboy boots thing was. If you didn't see Damari's face during the fireside when we were talking about this, he's funny, man. He's got these faces, these excuse me faces. When the other two were saying something crazy, it was fun to watch.
Hilarious. Bo Hunter, appreciate you, man. It says, I'd argue that no one knows how great Robby can be when he has time to make a decision, deliver the ball. He had to run for his life last year.
Those are facts.
I mean, I just the running for your life thing, I don't think is a really great thing for any quarterback to use as a reasoning. The shoulder being injured, 100%. Running for your life. I didn't get a chance to finish going through the Robby Ashford film with you guys, but if I did, you'd see some instances where this wasn't about Robby running for his life. It was about him making poor decisions of where to go with the football, right? Or missing guys that were wide open. That's a reality of a portion of the Robby Ashford narrative, right?
Right.
Now, again, injuries aside, can he be more consistent in that portion of his game? And could a better offensive line? Yeah, any quarterback. There are very few quarterbacks at the collegiate level who won't perform better with more time to throw. That's just, yes, everybody's going to get better if they have more time to throw. And most quarterbacks, the vast majority, will get worse with less time to throw. There's just a select few who pressure me or not pressure me, I'm going to figure out a way to burn you eventually, right? So for me, it's not so much about him running for his life. It's more so about him figuring out how to make better decisions pre-snap and understand what's happening so that he can at least give himself an opportunity to make the right decision with the football. Now, whether he makes that throw or misses that throw, that to me is a little less relevant than me understanding he knew where he needed to go. Then we just need to clean up the fundamentals of how we deliver the ball to get there, right? So, yeah.
All right.
Oda, appreciate you, man. It says people forget last season was Robby's first time playing at the college level. The sky's the limit for Robby Ashford, and looking at Coach Hugh Freeze's track record with QBs.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, his ceiling is, I don't know that we've even been able to tap the lower limit of his potential, right? Pause. But I do think that Robby Ashford has I don't know, man. I just tapped the lower limit, just made me go there. But I do think that Robby Ashford has a tremendous amount of potential. And I think that if given the opportunity, he can show that when he's healthy, that he can do a lot of great things. That LSU game, I think, is a microcosm of what Robby Ashford could potentially be when he's healthier, because the system and the scheme was more suited towards what he does well, and he was making good decisions that didn't always mean him running. It meant maneuvering himself out of trouble and then making and finding people. The touchdown to VAR early in the game, the long pass that he made to Jarquez later in the game. Those were times where he had opportunities. He could have run in both of those instances, kept his eyes downfield, made a pass to somebody, and it turned into a bigger play than it would have been if he had taken off running. So Robby's got a ton of potential. And if anybody doesn't see that potential because they're focusing on the one good throw he made against Alabama, you're not looking at the totality of what he's put on tape. You're just not.
I'm going to grab a few more, and then we'll get to the drawing. James Barnett, good to have you here with us, buddy. He says, fellas, if Robby were to win the job, will Payton have special plays drawn up for him? The narrative is always about Robby basically being second. Thoughts on that?
I don't know what special package you could have for Payton Thorne that would make a lot of sense. Why would you bring somebody in just to throw the ball? Like, he's not a runner. He's not a big guy who can go, like, unless he quarterback sneaks particularly. Like, that doesn't make a ton of sense to me. But hey, I could be convinced otherwise if somebody can give me examples of where you have a quarterback who can run and throw, but then you bring in the guy who's primarily a thrower.
Yeah, I can't think of the package that you would have for a guy who is not a runner.
Typically it's the other way around. The packages are designed because of he's a runner and he can do dynamic things with his legs. So, Travis, appreciate you being with us, man. Says week 1 will determine who our starter will be because we will get to see each quarterback run the offense. Thoughts, gentlemen?
Yeah, I just don't know how solid it's going to be, right? Because it is UMass.
Right.
So,
I
this is Corey's point right here. He basically says UMass will be a glorified scrimmage and won't tell us anything.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I don't think we'll see 3 of them. Yeah, but
no, we might see all 3, but I don't know that I agree that it won't tell us anything. It will definitely tell you something. I don't know that that's the totality of the picture. It would be more of an indictment if a quarterback goes out there and flubs UMass.
Correct. Yeah. So it will tell you something, like if they don't perform well, it will tell you a lot.
Right.
If they do perform well, it probably won't tell you much.
Correct.
But at least you can execute at a base level.
Correct.
And that's because this should be a team that you dominate physically.
Right.
You should be able to dominate. You've got better athletes. The only way they beat you is if they out execute you and you don't execute at all.
Right.
Right. That's got to be it. I mean, you have to play down to the competition to lose this game. So it will. And if you do that, that will tell you something about your team.
Yeah.
Greg Wheatley says, do we think some of the wide receiver injuries will be okay by UMass? Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this at a later on in the show. But great question, Greg. I definitely want to discuss some other position groups. Let's get into it, guys. We are giving away t-shirt courtesy of War Eagle Oil. Hashtag get your weight up in the comments. We've gone over long enough. Ike's ready to draw. Let's do it.
All right, let's get straight to it, man. Somebody's got to win this shirt. Yep, 119 people have entered. One body gonna win, and it's going to be Alex Wilson.
Hey,
Nice. Alex,
gotta be
let
there.
us know if you are here, good sir. Let us know if you are here. I'm gonna grab this. Otis Smith says, to be honest, I don't want to see one single pass thrown week 1. So I guess he wants to see us just run the ball down
None,
down
zero,
UMass's
no
throat.
passes.
I do want to see.
I think they get some reps, Oda.
We need to throw the ball. I
Yeah.
will agree with this
But
offense.
quarterbacks probably disagree with you here. So
The wide receivers do too.
Yeah, go out there and block and run routes for on air. Yeah, no thanks.
Greg asked an interesting question because it was also reported yesterday. I think I was looking. Someone from AL.com was talking about Amari Kelly, Jay Fair, Nick Martiner was working with the ones on yesterday. And we have talked extensively about injuries. Coy Moore, Brown. I mean, the few guys have been hampered by injuries so far in fall camp, and we haven't had a chance to really see all these guys get the opportunity in this offense. The new guys have been working with the second team. We've been hearing good things with them. But pretty a unit that, to me, I think it's been disappointing from the standpoint that these guys haven't had a chance to really get out there and show what they can do during fall camp because of injuries. Thoughts on this, gentlemen? Concerns about the position group going into week 1 into the start of the season?
Martiner and Amari Kelly have been taking a lot of reps with the ones because of these injuries. And the length of some of the injuries concerns me. Coy Moore has apparently been hurt since summer, and is still bringing a nagging injury into fall camp. Malcolm has started to get better, re-injured his shoulder, I think, as I understand it. It concerns me that guys that are presumed to be at the top of the pecking order are hurt and maybe missing valuable reps in the new system in camp. And especially when we're hearing that the guys, I guess, who are going out there are lining up wrong. And, he kind of admonished the wide receivers after the last scrimmage. Right. So they've got some work to do. And I think that some of that is because the guys who are supposed to be out there aren't out there. It makes me worry about depth for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, the question was about whether or not some of the guys with the injuries would be ready. Yes, I think some of them will. I think we talked about this a little bit, Mike G and I. Was that this morning? We had this conversation about the wide receiver room. Yeah. So we talked about this a little bit this morning. I do think that the issue, though, is some of the guys who may be starting may not be the most suited to run this offense right now because they just don't have the hang of it. And so it could look a little funky.
Yeah.
I said the same thing about quarterbacks that I will say about wide receivers. This is going to be a get right game for everybody. You'll have an opportunity to go out there against an opponent that you should beat. And if you go out there with the mindset that I need to focus on my execution and not on making highlights, just go out there and do what I'm supposed to do, be where I'm supposed to be. You'll put yourself in a better position for week 2 against Cal in a more hostile environment against a team that physically should be a little bit better, shouldn't still beat you, but you should be in a better position by week 2 if you go out there with the right mindset in week 1 and not taking what I feel like was a lackadaisical, we're just going to go out here and walk over them mindset that we had in that Georgia State game. Right. If we had gone into the Georgia State game, taking it seriously, that we need to really get in here and figure out up until that point in the season, Auburn hadn't really played great offensively. We put up a bunch of points, but I mean, despite all the points, let's be clear. Those were ugly games in the first half in those first 2 games against very inferior opponents. Yeah. And Georgia State just kind of pulled the curtain back on that and let everybody see some of the ugliness because Georgia State didn't let up. The other ones gave us opportunities, blocked punt for a touchdown, or was it a field goal for a touchdown in the Alabama State game? 98-yard run from Jark. Like, it was a bunch of like flash plays for the most part that helped rescue that game. we have to go out there and just dominate competition that we should be dominant against. And if it looks ugly at a couple of points, then the reasoning for that in this instance will likely be because the wide receivers aren't quite ready where they need to be, because they're not the best guys that have been in the system the longest, who are the most adept at running it. But hopefully injuries will not be a concern after we get past week 3, because that's really when you really need to make sure that your guys are in there and ready to go.
Right. Yeah, we don't really need our A game. I still don't think until week 4, because Cal should be inferior athlete wise. Like, don't get me wrong, Hugh Freeze wants to be able to throw the ball probably equal to how much he runs the ball, or at least just do it very proficiently. However, man, if I can line up and just bowl you over, I got Jarquez, I got Damari, I got Sean Jackson, Brian Batty. Why I don't have to prove anything out here in California. Like, this is not my place to flex. I'm just trying to get out here and win and go home. I'm not trying to prove a point out here yet. We can use it for development.
Actually the game that I think, if they just want to run the ball the whole game, I don't care.
Yes.
I don't care. Just get out of there with a W. Let's go home.
You use game 1 to develop. And coaches say this all the time on broadcasts and stuff. The most improvement is from what? Week 1 to week 2. Because you spent all this camp. You go out there with what you think you know, and then you actually put it to the test. And then the coach is like, all right, now we know this for certain, or our views can change about this one thing. You fine tune that, and you come back out with what you think is an improved game plan, personnel set, or whatever. Week 2 should be us cementing who we are, and week 3 should be, now we got the right mix. Let's get better at this and go forward into this SEC schedule after week 3. But I mean, who knows how it's going to look week 1 and 2? I don't think it depends on if the guys who we really think are the most talented don't get on the field to get a ramp up for SEC play. That will worry me. I would want those guys on the field by Cal. Give me 2 weeks of you in the lineup. Shorter, Hooks, Camden. Give me 2 weeks of you with whoever the quarterback is going to be, because I think we will, like y'all said, do some rotating in week 1. Week 2, I think they're going to have a fairly set game plan, even though I think it makes sense to go out west with a couple of aces up your sleeve, whether that's Robby Ashford running as the number 2 or Robby Ashford 1, and just a whole kitchen sink you throwing at them. Like, I think you need to do that. But by week 3, you need to just be fine tuning the game plan so we can go into SEC play with some continuity. That's for you, John Brandon.
So let me guys ask you this about offensive line. Seems like we're settling in to the offensive lines. The competition that we thought was coming into this was going to be at the guard position. Cam Stutz, one of the team leaders, appears to be settled in as the starting right guard. Competition was at left guard with Jeremiah Wright, Tate Johnson. It was noted that Jeremiah Wright was practicing with the ones yesterday at left guard. It sounds like the O-line is coming into fruition. How do we feel about the O-line, gentlemen?
I think the running backs feel great about the O-line. And they said so. So this is going to be an improved offensive line. I have no doubt. This is going to be a physically better offensive line. I think they've got a better system. I think that the game planning and the play calling will not expose them as much as last year. I got left hanging out to dry a lot, by bad play calling for half of the season. They were good at run blocking over the last half of the season. But this is going to be, I feel good about the O-line. I feel really good about the O-line. Now, after the one deep, I have questions. But the potential starting offensive line, I definitely feel really good about. I hope that unit can stay healthy most of the season.
To me, what has been a pleasant surprise, shifting. By the way, B. Will, did y'all have comments about O-line?
I feel good about the O-line. I actually feel good about the 2 deep at the interior O-line positions. It's when we get out to those tackles that I am not as confident about our ability to be able to absorb a loss. So that's going to be interesting to see. I am going to be laser focused on what the second team offensive line looks like in the UMass game. Very much so.
That's a good point.
Okay. What has been a pleasant surprise in fall camp to me has been Brian Battie, running backs, because Hugh Freeze didn't exactly give me a lot of confidence at media days when he talked about Battie and his health. So to hear him, uh, people praising him and giving him a lot of props this fall has been encouraging. Obviously, Jarquez returning to the team has been a much
Mm.
added boost. I am excited about our run game. And here's why is when I look at just even over the past 2 years, Mike, I remember you asking Harsin at the end of games why we would abandon the run. And it was because we were either behind or we couldn't do it.
Yeah.
One of the two. And for me, I think that being able to run the ball, especially when we've shown the ability to be able to strike first in games, I'm excited about our ability to really put our foot on teams' necks in the second half because we can run the football. And
Yeah.
much of the ability to allow teams to get back is because we couldn't do it.
Yeah,
so I'm excited about that.
Battie is going to be a problem. I mean, his teammates have said all offseason he is hell to tackle. Then he goes out and he has a dynamic scrimmage. Damari had balls out. Jarquez is Jarquez. Man, I'm telling you, you might not potentially get a break from this running back room. And if, we know Jarquez is a good pass catcher. We know he's a good pass catcher out of the backfield. So if the other two are decent pass catchers as well, I think there's a lot you can do there with change of pace. You've got guys who can run between the tackles, and you've got a ton of speed. According to them, they all run
that
3 second. 40.
That was one of the best parts of that whole fireside to me when it was who started it. It was
He said he ran a 10.
No, I think Jarquez started with he ran a 10 point something, and then no, it was Damari who was like, that was earlier in high school. Later in high school, I ran like a 10.7, and Jarquez was like, well, I ran like a 10.6. And Battie was like, well, I ran a 10.5. Then it's like, man, come on, dog. What are we doing right here?
I believe they're all sub 11 seconds. But there's a ton of speed there. We know Jarquez is fast.
Sure.
Right. Damari, and those guys are both playing at 210. So that's a ton of speed at that size.
Yeah, Jarquez.
That's where it was ridiculous for me. I was like, you can't be running that fast. And
fast at that size, yeah.
And then you hail the tackle. It's not fair.
So I think fans should feel good about similarly. We talk a lot about quarterback when it comes to this, but at running back, at the same time, you need more than one guy. You need a deep room. You need to be able to spell your guy. You can't. There's no such thing as a bell cow back anymore in college football. There's injuries are too prominent. I mean, even to the point where people have really stopped taking running backs in the first round of the draft because everything is running
two this year. So,
well, you know what I'm saying. Like running backs have gone down in priority in terms of drafting, right? So at the end of the day, you need a deep room there. And I wondered if there would be enough football to go around. They seem pretty confident in the system that's coming in, that there will be, and they look like they're going to work together and support each other. It's a really exciting room to look at. Now, I did Jock's radio this morning, and I do think this could be a top 2 or 3 rushing, like in total rushing yards in the SEC this year. I honestly believe that. I think they're going to surprise a lot of people, and nobody's going to see this coming. And if you add any balance in the passing game, they're going to be hell to stop. Quarterback can drop back and complete a pass every once in a while to keep the defense honest, to keep people from stacking the box against them. They're going to be hell to stop.
Yeah. Agreed. Looking forward to it. Let's grab some comments here. Donovan says, I want to see 60 passes week 1. That dude tripping, referring to Odom.
60
They're having a conversation with each other via super chats. Oda comes back and says, if we throw 60 passes week 1, I will be terrified. And Donovan comes back and says, "We must face our fears at Oda." That's pretty funny.
Okay, all right.
Stephen Neely says, "Didn't we fans want the QB room to get better this season? Isn't it preferred to have multiple competent players at each position?"
That's all I'm
Yes.
saying.
Makes a lot of
Yes.
sense to me. The only problem that I'll give voice to some of the fears of fans, right? And it usually primarily comes from two places. One of them is if they pick the wrong guy, we're going to have a terrible season, right? Because we have not seen a legitimate competition in which a coach says, okay, this guy's not getting it done. Let me get the other guy in there. Most instances, they feel like if this guy won, he's going to be our guy for the rest of the year. And we're doomed because I don't believe in his prospects to take us to the promised land. That's one edge of fear. The other edge of fear comes from we've got a really good guy who's not going to see the field. He's going to transfer out of here and we'll never get to see his potential blossom at Auburn. So I want to see him get some playing time because I don't want to see him transfer. And both of those fears culminate in a kind of a cacophony of voices. Oh, that's a really good collegiate word. Cacophony. I just pulled that one out. A cacophony of voices that,
gracious.
yeah, thank you. That allow for like everybody to be projecting their fears onto this quarterback competition. And ultimately, it should come down to what Steven's saying is just let the best guy go out there and play and let's win some football games and let the offseason handle itself.
I'm all for it. I'm all
for
for it. And again, if it culminates in our floor being raised in that room, even bigger win as far as I'm concerned. So I'm excited about it. Tyrone Long says, "I disagree with Ike. Narrative about it will be better to start Payton Thorne than Robby because Robby could struggle. If Payton struggles, you would have invested all the NIL money on him. Bad investment."
So the second part of that is illegal, right? So you're assuming that we've done some sort of inducement to get him to come here to play, unless you're saying they talked about it after he hit the portal, which I guess is kind of legal. But anyway, where I disagree with this completely is I think and we talked about this a little bit on the last show. I think the presence of Payton Thorne has pushed the other guys in that room to step their game up.
Right.
So even if Payton Thorne comes in and struggles, you've gotten your money's worth, so to speak, in the fact that Payton Thorne has pushed and gotten more out of these guys than they would have if they had the opportunity to rest on their laurels in the summer and going into the fall camp, knowing it's just me versus you, right? So I think that you get your money's worth by raising the competition level all the way around.
Yeah. I was actually having this conversation in one of my group chats about what's going on with the 49ers, right? And Trey Lance, talking about how that trade with all those first round picks to get Trey Lance was one of the worst trades in history because it looks like so far he's not getting it. All right. He hasn't played a lot of football, period, especially enough to be a starter in the NFL. But you know what? You got Brock Purdy in the 6th round?
Yeah, he was Mr. Irrelevant. He was literally the last pick of the draft that season.
Oh, well, look at that.
Yeah.
Now, so if I look at it like this, did I spend all this capital on Trey Lance? Yes. Has Trey Lance turned out to be what you thought he was going to be? No. If I use virtually zero capital to get a guy who actually looked better than Jimmy Garoppolo did as a 7-year NFL veteran, what I'm going to do is I'm going to average that together. I spent these picks, but I got the cheapest dude who is now going to be the starter. It doesn't matter to me too much. It matters evaluatively. Like, you got that guy wrong. You messed that up. But you also turned a nickel into a dollar on the back end of the draft. You got your starter. If that's your starter and he ends up starting 10 years for the San Francisco 49ers, you accomplished the job in that draft. To me, it doesn't matter if you pick Brock Purdy number 2 overall and Trey Lance in the last one. One was going to work, one didn't. If you spent the exact same amount of capital and I tell you, you got a 10-year starting quarterback, are you all right with that?
Where I disagree with that in terms of the NFL is about what they gave up for Trey Lance, I think is too much to not get a return on that investment specifically. The amount of money that you spent for Trey Lance and you still could have gotten Brock Purdy later on is very different, because you could have
That's
gotten
true.
6 other players.
That's true. And you
that
do
would've-
need more. It's not
Right.
like college where I can just get another 5-star dude no matter what. Like,
Right.
no, there's a limit. You know, those first round picks could have been very good defensive players that you upgrade
Right.
positions at. So all that's true.
Yeah, it's a little bit different for college. But I
Right.
to your point, yeah, I understand. You still spend the same amount of money whether you had on these 2 quarterbacks to be in your room.
Right.
So what matters most is at this point in time to try to get something out of that situation in retrospect. And it's like, all right, cool. We just need to trade him away and try to see if we can get some pieces back. And then we have a lower cap on our quarterback to be able to upgrade in some other positions. Anyway, that's a whole different thing, because I will definitely talk 49ers for too long if we get into this. So,
but yeah, I don't, and that's why I disagree with the idea of capital and investment. Listen, man, I wonder if Jeffrey Mba collected NIL when he was here.
100% did.
Did it matter? Were we excited when he signed? Yes. Did he look like, oh, he's an amazing athlete? I saw him get a couple snaps. He might be really good. Yes. What did it amount to? That we are going to blow investments on players. It's how the game is right now. That's what NIL is. Players want to know that they're valued by the universities and by the collectives. They're going to collect checks from the collectives. You hope that they stick around and that they stay and that they produce. Texas A&M's got to be sick out their mind right now.
Right.
They spent a whole year paying a whole bunch of guys who did virtually nothing in the first year, and they're out of that money. And those guys dipped. They got their paycheck and they dipped. Payton Thorne being there and actually having a positive effect on the competition in the room, that's worth money by itself. If I tell you, hey, I'm going to get 85% effort out of Robby Ashford and Holden Geriner, that's cool. All right, I'm going to pay this much in NIL monthly to get 100% out of Robby Ashford, Holden Geriner. Cool, I'll do it. Even if it didn't mean I'm getting another dude. You mean I get maximum effort? I can unlock some more potential for them? Yes, that's worth the investment. And that's what I think we got. Or at the very least, even if Payton Thorne isn't the starter, the floor of my room has increased substantially. That's worth it all on its own as well. So there's definite benefit to bringing a guy in, even if you're compensating him with NIL. There's still benefit to him if he's not the starter.
And what it appears to be early on is that I've been impressed. I don't know about you, Ike B. I've been very impressed with how this staff evaluates talent, because the guys that they've brought in, there haven't been a lot of misses, because these guys are either contributing, starting, or competing for starting jobs. These guys that they've gotten out of the portal, even some of these freshmen that they brought in, are competing for jobs. Yeah. I've been impressed with this staff in terms of how they evaluate these guys. You're not going to be 100%, but I'm pleased to know that if we, at the rate we're recruiting now, whether portal or high school, if we do miss on a kid, you got other kids there ready to compete and take that position. The fear was in previous years, when we get this prize jewel of our class and he doesn't pan out, there's no one behind him. There's no one there to take that person's position. It appears that this staff is doing a good job of evaluation, and as well as stacking this class or future classes, that won't be a problem in the future for Auburn. That makes me excited.
Yeah.
Can we redraw real quick before we get into that? Because I haven't seen Alex pop up.
He has not popped up. Let's go ahead and do it.
Yeah, let's get into this drawing again. If I can find my boom, there it is. All right, draw it again. Somebody's got to win it. Somebody's got to win it. I saw Elliot's name pop up in there. Look at that.
Brad, you should still be around, hopefully.
Brad has won. I think he's won a shirt before. Brad, if you're still here and you've won, man, let somebody else win, bro. Because I feel like you won before. I don't know if you've won this before, but you've definitely won.
Let us know for sure. Why y'all look for him? I'm gonna go run through some of these. Derek McClellan says, "Don't know if I've missed it, but I'm looking for another Amen corner, Ike."
You have not missed it. We have been taking a little while off. Shout out to our guy Paul, whose wife had a baby recently. We're giving him a little time to breathe.
Congrats to
But
Paul.
we should be coming back very soon. So thank you for looking out for that, and we'll try to get back into that soon.
Brad Browning says, throw it back.
Hey, there it is. Appreciate you, Brad, for allowing somebody else to get an opportunity. Let's see if we can get us another winner in here. Somebody's got to win it.
Appreciate that, Brad. Love our community. Oh, they did you wrong, Philip. But congrats, Greg.
Greg Reeves, what's up? Are you here?
Yeah.
I think Greg is in here. I think I've seen him in here.
He
He
says
says
throw it back.
Oh,
Hey.
wow. I know Greg has won something before. I don't think he's won that before, but all right. Listen, I ain't mad at it.
Generosity.
Everybody say every time somebody wins, they say Greg always wins. This person always
Wesley.
wins. They always wins.
Wesley funny.
Oh,
John Brand.
he can't win. No,
No,
I'm not sending John nothing.
Too many dirty jokes, John. It's time to pay the piper. Too many dirty jokes. No, we're just playing. Have you won? Has John won?
I don't think John ever won, actually. Not
He's
at
won-
least not a
he's
war
won
report.
before, but I don't think he's won this shirt.
Nah, he won a thing from
Greg says John always wins. That's funny.
what's the thing? The Chill Boy. I think he won the Chill Boys the giveaway once before.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Well, that was definitely
That's it.
last.
AD says he hasn't won. That's his guy.
Oh, he said he won a mug last year.
I
All
thought
right,
he
then.
won something. I thought
there
he
it
won
is.
something. So, John, email us. Business at the War. You know how to get in touch with us. Whatever.
Yeah, you get touched.
Let me grab some of these before we get out of here. Daniel says Mike did good on 3-man front, though. Represented the War Report family very well. Got to check that out. Definitely got to check that out. I know some
listen as well.
Yeah. Coach C4 says, I'm hoping Robby proves a lot of his doubters wrong. His upside is massive in my eyes.
Yeah.
AU Alum 94 says, how much can a QB shine if we have loafing and injury-riddled wide receiver room?
I mean, the unless they were loafing on purpose for particular quarterbacks, then you can QBs can't necessarily shine, but they could still be evaluated equally.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They're all throwing to the same receivers. The same receivers were injured. So it should be about evaluative performance relative to the other people.
And I think that's why Hugh Freeze was complimentary towards the quarterbacks after scrimmage number 1 and critical of the wide receivers, because there are certain things he's looking for in his QBs and there are certain things that he's looking for in his receivers. So it's possible for one group, regardless of the overall outcome, one group to do well based on making their proper reads and executing versus what another group does. Yeah. And because of the injuries with the wide receivers, the wide receivers played well, but some of those plays were missed. Opportunities were missed because of wide receiver play. But hopefully that improves as we get closer to the season. KG Friend says, I apologize to Robby. I seen a clip versus Georgia where it was a 7-man protection and Georgia rushed 3 and still got home. My God, the line sucked.
Yeah. It was the Georgia game was particularly discouraging. It's like, well, we didn't have a prayer. It looked like we shouldn't have even had our hopes up for that game. Like, it wasn't 2021. It was like, all right, we're in this thing. You know, if we just don't make them, we tried. 2022 was like, we could have stayed on the bus. It was bad.
Yeah, it was. I can't believe I watched that whole game.
I watched all
That's
these
impressive.
games.
I was at that game.
And then did film. Ike had to cut.
You still should have been like, I'm
cut off
surprised I
film
watched
all
that
these
game.
terrible
And
games.
I drove. That's a long drive, my bro. My brother.
Yeah.
Sorry
Man.
about that,
Yeah, it is.
Sorry.
Oh man, I'm sorry, man. Thank you
Beast
for taking.
Mode has
taking
asked this like 7 times at least. I've counted. How y'all feel about Bo Nix billboard in New York? Y'all think they hyping him up to win the Heisman? Perhaps. Who knows? Best wishes to him.
I have no feelings about it.
None at all.
Good luck to the kid.
I don't know how a billboard's gonna win you the Heisman. Like, you still gotta do good.
It's a PR campaign, man. We're gonna make sure people know.
Yeah, it's PR.
Okay.
PR, it's not bad.
All
but
right. All right.
You know, he got to go out. He got to ball out in the Pac-4 this year, and
Well,
show that
it's
he's
still
worthy.
it's still 12 this year.
No, that's the 4. I'm calling it 4 right now. Okay, the final 4, the final Pac-4 is what I'm calling them.
Like, all right, guys. All these guys threw for 4,000 yards. But you know what? Did you see that billboard at the beginning of the year? You know what? You're right. It's Knicks all day. It's Knicks. The billboard got it. Okay. I mean, I get it. You're trying to promote your athletes, right? Your program. Who in New York City is gonna be they aren't even real New York.
They don't care. They don't care.
They are a pro football
care.
football state, man. I don't know what that was gonna do.
That's a professional.
People don't
It's
even be looking at the ads in Times Square.
It's gonna get on social media and go viral the way that it did. That's what it's gonna do.
All right.
We talking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't be talking about it if he hadn't asked.
That's true. That's true. But no,
and again, I know that reads as people as like, I don't like Bo. He is not playing quarterback for my team. I don't know why y'all keep wanting me to talk about him. I don't talk about any other quarterbacks that left here like that. Until y'all ask me about them, I just don't. What are we talking about?
I mean, again, like I said, I wish him well. Good luck to the kid. Not that y'all not. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I wish him well. Hey, that's good for him. He got a billboard in New York. Best wishes to the kid. Moving on.
Yeah.
Good show. I tell the people what they can do.
They can come on board as members of the War Rapport. We will not be transferring teams anytime. So you can come on board and get all of your great Auburn content right here. We'll be doing film breakdowns. We'll be doing game day reactions, all kinds of great things coming for you as members. So go ahead and get that membership started. We are under a month from the first kickoff. So now is a great time to start that War Rapport membership as we get into that football season content. You can gift a membership if you are already a member. Somebody can get a first month on you. Make sure you listen to us on podcasts. The College Loop, the Auburn Express, and the Uptempo podcast are all a part of the War Rapport Pod Network. If you didn't win something today, you can head to thewarreport.com and be able to get you a little something and represent in that way. And shout out once again to our folks at Manscaped. Head over to manscaped.com using code Rapport, and that lets them know the War Rapport sent you. We appreciate everybody who's always supporting in whatever way to keep our sponsors in the loop.
And before you get out of here, please be sure to share this video on social media. Share it amongst your group chat and with other Auburn fans and friends. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can find us on social media. That is Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at The War Rapport. We're on TikTok at TW Rapport. That's it for now, guys, but we will definitely got some more content the rest of this week. We'll be back for the morning drop on Friday. But until then, enjoy the rest of your evening. And as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.